Number 3. Oh, too many dunks in your tea. MeccaBingo.com, proud sponsors of Loose Women.
Hello again. We're celebrating Lynda Bellingham today, 10 years on since her passing. We'll hear from Lynda's sons a little later, and lots of laughs, which we know Lynda loved, with some memories from her friend Biggins as well. First, so it is competition time again, and you have 2 days left to win £500,000. It's back to Jeff in the Big Apple. There he is, having a grand old time. Hello, Jeff.
Hello ladies. It's so fresh at Edge, Hudson Rivers. Do you know what, we're 100 floors up and it's incredible how much you can see. That's the Hudson River, and all the way down the bottom, I don't know whether you can make out the tiny little Statue of Liberty, which of course is a huge, massive monument. From here, it looks so small. It literally looks like the whole of New York, Manhattan, could fit in the palm of your hand. But speaking of having everything in the palm of your hand, if you won £500,000, I reckon you'd feel the same way as well. Travel anywhere. You can literally find the sun in whichever location around the world that you would like to lay on whether it's sightseeing or whether it's laying on a beach, by the pool. You can do it your way, however you please. Think of all the family and the friends that you'd be able to treat to the best Christmas ever. And maybe in 2025, it would probably be your best year as well. You could be £500,000 better off. Imagine all the zeros in your bank balance, but you've got to enter, and lines close Friday at 4 p.m. So get that entry in, guys. Good luck.
For another chance to win, go to the website. Entries cost £2. Text WINS at 80118. Text costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Call 090 112 09118. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and phone number to CD38, PO Box 7558, Derby, DE10NQ. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday the 18th of October at 4 p.m. Good luck.
Thank you, Jeff. Good luck. Time now for some more special memories of Lynda Bellingham. It's her close friend, Christopher Biggins, and her on-screen husband from All Creatures Great and Small, Christopher Timothy. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you. And we all got a bit emotional earlier, obviously, and there's a great deal of sadness when you think you've lost someone for all of these years, but yet we've got to remember Lynda the way she wanted to be remembered, and that was for her sense of humour, Christopher.
She was
her love of life.
Possibly one of the funniest women I've ever met, apart from you. No, she was fantastic. I mean, she was really wonderful. And I was thinking of, we've been talking about in the dressing room jokes, but we can't tell any jokes she told, except that one is she used a terrible cod French accent. She talked like that, and she told the joke, and it involved the word probably, which that's all, and that was about 15 times she said probably, probably, and it involved a grand piano, and that's all I can say. But it was hysterical, and funny enough, at her funeral, I thought of that joke and her telling it, because, you know, funerals, and I wore a pink suit, because I think funerals should be a tribute to that person. Exactly. And that's what's so wonderful about it. She was fantastic, wasn't she? Yeah.
Absolutely irreplaceable.
Yeah. I went to all of her weddings, too. She got married 3 times. And, in fact, her second husband, Nunzio, there was a restaurant that Nunzio was working in called La Familia in Fulham. Yeah. And we both went to the restaurant, and that's where we met him.
Oh,
yes, and then yes, I was there when she first met him. It was a toss-up between which phone we would get, actually.
Whenever I said to her after Luce, "What are you doing now? Where are you going?" Meeting Biggins.
Yeah, well,
always partying.
We did, and she was, you know, the wonderful commercial she did for Oxo Cubes. I mean, she was a wonderful cook.
Yeah,
I mean, she really was,
cooking.
and she loved Sunday lunches and everything. She was just exceptional, and she had a joy for people. And of course, the most wonderful thing that ever happened to her out of all her marriages was having 2 gorgeous sons.
Yeah.
And they're both wonderful, and we see them, and it's fantastic.
Christopher, I know that certainly did work alongside her on screen. I mean, she was always a very loyal, supportive ally, really. She would always have had your back. And you felt like a better person for having known and worked with her.
Yeah, my life was better for having her in it, that's for sure. She had an untenable task to take over a part that had been so sort of iconised, and she fell into it like a fish in the water. She was just wonderful. The thing about Lynda was that there was no bull, not ever about anything. She was trustworthy, she was loyal, she was very, very funny. She was one of the kindest people I've ever met. And when I think about her, when we talk about her at home, which is at least once a week, if not twice, we laugh. Most of the time it's laughter. And she always, when things were taught in the studio, when things went wrong, and things do, you know, it's hard to believe, but when things are not as well as they're about, it was always Lynda who, with a joke, which is unrepeatable. She was adored by the crews, without exception. Everyone loved her. And she was, in a way, in inverted commas, she was one of the boys.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why I can't tell you any of the jokes she told. But she was just adorable. And we were talking earlier about the funeral, and at the funeral, I was talking about her, and the boys were sitting just there, and I was trying to be light about it, and it was a very emotive time, but there was also a great deal of laughter. With the memories that everyone came up with, that you all came up with, were funny memories, and it was just so good. And at one point, the boys, well, one of the boys, Michael, was crying, and instead of concentrating on what I was doing, I suddenly thought I didn't mean to upset him, and I spent at least 5 minutes consoling him and thinking, this is not what is required of me at Lynda's funeral. It really isn't. And it ended with very, very emotive, of course, but still with great joy. And just as the coffin was lifted and they began walking out of the church, over the tannoy came a famous recording of "There's no business like Joe," and the place just fell apart.
Honestly, it was brilliant.
Joyous.
But I think
Perfect
also
for her.
she was a brilliant actress.
Yes.
I mean, she played in a wonderful Russian film. She played the Tsarina, I think it was, and she was fantastic in that. And that's what we tend to forget because of her ebullience and her fun of life. But she was a really, really good actress.
Amazing. And then when you talk about this sort of natural love that she exuded, we felt that through an advertisement.
Yeah.
We grew up thinking
Different
that she was like
generation.
yes,
and you got that
exactly.
maternal sense from her, and to hear she really was the hostess with the mostess, and it was authentic as well.
Absolutely.
I think it goes back to that thing of you saying what you saw is what you get. You know,
Absolutely.
there was no hidden agenda, and
And she was so much fun, but her professionalism as well was off the scale. Like,
Absolutely.
she could be friends with all of you, and she genuinely was.
Yeah.
She, like I said, she was so professional, but she expected that back. And if you didn't give that back, or if she thought you were slacking, you knew about it. And I loved that about her.
Weren't you having a
Loved it
coffee with her
about
when you found out about her diagnosis?
Yeah, we were rehearsing a play called The Passionate Woman. It was a read-through, and it was going to star Lynda. There were other of us were in the play, but it was her play. And it was a play I'd seen, and it was a really good play, and it was Kay Mellor, rest her soul, who had written it and was to direct it. And we did the read-through, and Lynda was going to be something sensational. She really was going to be... Couldn't wait, just couldn't wait. And we chatted afterwards, and I think we went for a drink in a restaurant somewhere, and then everyone was going about their different whatever paths they were following. And I said to Lynda, "Where are you off to?" And she said, "I've just got an appointment with a doctor. I've got this pain." And I said, "You know, what do I know?" I said, "Well, it's bound to be okay, but I hope it's okay. And I'll see you at rehearsals." And that was that. And within a week, a phone call from Kay Mellor to say, "I'm really sorry to say that Lynda really is quite ill. And so we're postponing the play." And of course, the play in the end was cancelled. But it would have made one hell of a mark had she done it, without doubt.
Yeah.
She was so positive, though, wasn't
That's
she?
right, about everything.
Her diagnosis, you know, which is a horrific thing to hear. You know, she was very strong, and she, you know, she told everybody, and she was going to fight it, and you know, and she did fight it.
She did.
And you know, towards the end, it was. I mean, I remember seeing on this programme the last thing she did.
But and a lot of that was the strength of her friends and her family, and indeed her sons, like we've mentioned. And we're very lucky that the boys have sent us a message. This has been voiced by Michael, and we thank him very much for this. This is a lovely tribute to Lynda.
First of all, my brother Robert and I would like to thank Loose Women and everyone associated with the show for remembering our dear mother today and supporting us over the years. Furthermore, we thank all the viewers of the show who loved our mother and celebrated her huge body of work during her life and after her passing. Not a day goes by that we don't think about Mum. How incredible that after all the years, people still want to remember her and celebrate her. We are bursting with pride. We remember Mum with joy in our hearts and a smile on our face. My brother and I leave you with the words we spoke at her funeral 10 years ago. Words she herself would tell us all the time, and words we remember daily. Tomorrow is another day, my sons. Onwards and upwards. And remember, don't let the buggers keep you down.
Well, thank you to Michael and Robert and everyone that has paid tribute to Lynda today, to Biggins, Christopher Timothy, Denise, Nadia and Kay, you at home, but most of all, thank you to you, Lynda Bellingham. And this is for you.
Thank you, ladies, and see you tomorrow. Friends and co-stars for over 40 years, but how well do they really know their respective family histories, and is Ricky really as scouse as he thinks? Join us for Ricky Tomlinson and Sue Johnston's DNA journey tonight at 9 o'clock.